an absolute pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
The first question I wanted to ask you is kind of just an icebreaker. When you guys were recording voice lines for the cows in Diablo II, did you just walk around the office and go say moo?
We actually, everybody in the office got to go around and record the moo line. We had the idea of like everybody contributing to that. And so every single person in the entire company got to do a line.
That's so cool.
That was fun.
For those who don't know, tell us about your legacy, man. I mean, it's huge to me.
Well, I've been in the industry now for 35 years, something like that. I don't know, a long time. Started out making games on the Super Nintendo and Genesis. Atari Lynx actually was the very first product made a game on. Did Game Boy and Game Gear games, but I'm most well known for being president of Blizzard North and creating Diablo II. Left and made Flagship Studios in Hellgate, London, the first looter shooter, and then made Marvel Heroes, which is a Marvel-themed ARPG. Then left and made my own independent game company called Greybeard Games, where I did a game all by myself. I did everything, the art, the music, the engine, all the programming, the design, all that stuff. So that was a really fun project to work on. It's really successful and did Game Pass with it and all sorts of stuff. So, and then started a publishing company in 2020 with my partner, Bill Wang, and I created Skystone Games. And I've been doing that since.
Cool. And you also run Greybeard Studio, correct?
Yeah, I still do Greybeard Games and I still program almost every day. I'm working on something right now, kind of on my spare time, kind of. I'm doing it.
So what are some complications you've run into moving from, the big name of Blizzard?
Much different world.
Yeah.
There are complications, but there are also simplicities. When you're making a big project at a big company, there's a lot of people's voices and some executive management voices that you have to satisfy and things like that. So it doesn't really, you don't have as much control. When you're doing games as a small studio, you're much more involved and you're less likely to get that thing canceled if you're the one funding it.
Right.
So there's like a lot of advantages to that, but there's definitely disadvantages. Can't make the world's biggest game and stuff like that. I don't know if that's really a disadvantage or not, but it's very different.
Well, speaking on, pleasing the voices, I know that Diablo was initially going to be a turn-based RPG.
It was.
And you were pushed kind of into making it an action RPG, one of the first, if not the first ever.
Yeah.
How were your thoughts about that at the time, and have they changed seeing the success of Diablo and Diablo II?
Well, they changed the moment that I actually did it. The idea for it and the inspiration for it was I started playing these games in college that were on the computers. They just had ASCII stuff. So the games were games like Rogue, where the term roguelike comes from, and some of its offshoots, things like Mori and Angband and NetHack and all these kind of games that were made in that kind of genre. I got really into those, and that was an inspiration. So when we were pitching Diablo, basically the pitch was it's like one of those games, a rogue game, but with graphics instead of letters. So those games were turn-based and permadeath. When you died, your character, and you could just spend tons and tons of times, months on a character and instantly have it die. It was really palm sweaty kind of moment. So I was really hesitant to change the design. At the time, they were Silicon and Synapse, but changed their name to Blizzard, agreed to be the publisher for the game. They hired us to do it. And they suggested, hey, maybe you should think about changing it to real time. I was like, no, it ruins all the strategy, all the depth, all of the sweaty palm moments of like, oh my God, my character's almost dead. I've been working on it for 2 weeks. This is terrible. And you rage quit, and then you come back a couple days later. So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But eventually we had a vote for all the people at Blizzard North, got together in the kitchen. We had a vote, about 17 or so hands went up. There were about 20 of us or whatever. And a bunch of hands went up about changing it to real time. And then the turn-based people lost. I was like, okay, I'll do it. And so we sent everybody home. And that weekend, I changed it from turn-based to real time. And the moment that I clicked on the mouse, the player walked over and bashed a skeleton apart with his face. I was like, the clouds parted and the sun shone down and like, oh, this holy moment of, oh my God, this is amazing. This is definitely the right way to go. And we never looked back, and I don't regret it for a minute. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Awesome. Sometimes, occasionally, those boardroom decisions work out for the best for everybody.
Yeah.
I would say those moments are rare, for sure.
Yeah.
So It Lurks Below is the game you were referring to, right?
Right,
You
right.
did kind of all yourself. What did you learn from that experience? Are you taking away into your next project?
Yeah, I've got other projects in the works. I mean, we also are doing Skystone games,
Right.
my publishing company. We have a lot of product coming out for that. We just had a game called Tiny Bookshop that came out that's doing really well. We've got a couple other games that we're featuring here at the show, including Mistfall Hunter, as well as Black Jacket and Arcane Eats, and some others. I'm still really busy doing that. But with the Graybeard game stuff, I am working on things. I'm working on a game right now that I'm not ready to talk about, but it is very different than anything I've ever done before. At its core, it's still an RPG. It's still got stats and equipment and all this kind of randomness and all this kind of stuff, but it is very different than anything that's out there, and kind of a game that I don't think that people would expect that I would make. So we'll see.
Interesting. Well, I mean, the new step that I think it's Moonstone Studios, where
Moonbeast.
Moonbeast, their new ARPG that just recently kind of got leaked looks really unique for what they're doing. So I'm curious to see what your project ends up being.
I still talk with those guys all the time. They only live a few blocks from me.
Oh,
so
really?
we see each other all the time. I'm in a group chat with them. We text all day long. So I'm hanging out with Max and Erica a lot.
That's super cool. I have killed Shank the Overseer probably about 1 million times over my life. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool. I wanted to shift gears and ask you kind of your thought on AI in games, right? Like, as an indie and as well as a big AAA developer, I'm sure you've got maybe an interesting take on the advent of AI and where it fits in game design.
You know, AI, I think it's it's a tough thing to kind of deal with. It's going to be a really tricky subject, simply because I don't like how they basically build a lot of generative AI on the backs of artists, and nobody gets any credit or anything like that. So I don't really like that aspect of it. However, I don't know if there's anything that we can do to really stop it. I think it is inevitable. And I think that it is going to become a tool that is commonplace in the future. And it may be controversial now, and I understand why, and I'm worried about that aspect of it. But I think that it's just going to end up being too powerful of a tool, and people will end up using it over and over again.
Have you encountered any challenges in finding good employees as a result of AI? Have you seen a lot of people leaning on that instead of being creative in their own right?
No, I think that there have definitely been pitch decks and things like that I've received that have got generative AI images and things like that. I can't tell whether or not for something like coding, on a coding thing, like if a script was written by AI or not, can't tell that really. Or maybe some of the story was inspired by AI or whatever. That's like, it's kind of the first draft is done by AI and then somebody kind of spruces it up or makes it better. I think it's really hard to tell that. I mean, hell, schools are having trouble with that. So I think that it is going to be a tool that a lot of people use and can kind of disguise at this point, and it's going to be tough to determine where that goes and whether or not people will be able to create on top of AI or if they will just only use AI. And I think it's going to be tough to see in the future which way they went.
What are your thoughts on kind of the industry as a whole right now? Specifically, I guess one of the things that's been weighing on me is Microsoft has laid off thousands of people, and then they just went and posted billions in record sales this year. There's always that fear of layoffs and things like that. And what are your thoughts about this apparent push by big names to get rid of people in favor of AI and kind of disregarding the lives of developers?
I think the AI is an excuse. It's not the reality, not quite yet. This is all about profitability, right? And this is all about making the stock go up. And this is about late stage capitalism, right? So that's just the way that the game is played, and it's sad, but it is true. I think that in the future, you're going to see that the bigger companies are going to go, well, we're kind of out of projects. We need something in the near future because we don't have anything 3 years from now. So we got to start something. So I think that the industry will make a little bit of a comeback. I think that companies will start creating new projects again and have money to create new projects because they got to have more revenue and they got to have more products. So I think it'll come back pretty soon.
My last question for you. There is a huge disconnect in the gaming community and understanding what development actually looks like. So I actually have made it kind of my personal mission to try and bridge that gap and help people understand what development really does look like. So lately I've been asking developers, you know, if there's something you had to explain or could explain to the community, something you could tell them to give some sort of light on what the process of development, of creation from start to finish looks like, what would you tell them? It's kind of a hard question.
Tough question. I think that there's a couple things that come to mind. I think that put yourself in the shoes of the developer. It depends on what it is that you're doing, because the different jobs are so different that there's different challenges in each one. But for instance, like as a designer, let's say, you would think something simple like a door would be easy for somebody to solve. If you think about a door for a second, it's really complicated. It's actually extremely complicated to design a door. Does the door open towards you? Okay, well, what happens when it bangs into your character? Does it go through your character? Does that look weird? Do all doors open away from you? Is that also weird? And then don't get multiplayer involved. What happens then? So like that kind of gives you a little bit of a tangent of like, it's a lot harder than it looks. Even something simple like a door, or something you would think would be simple like a door, is extremely complicated. So I think that all development is like that. Something you think would be easy is not. It's not only that, but also development in general is a culmination of millions and millions of decisions that are made every day on a micro level about how everything is with a particular monster, or the way that you're attacking something, or the sound that it makes. And like all of these different parts coming together to create a whole are made up of tons of decisions from tons of people that are working together. And they're all creative. Most of them have egos. Like it's really tough to kind of like get everybody to communicate that together. Even on a big team, you spend a great majority of your time talking to people and communicating what it is that you need. It reminds me of this old game called Telephone, where I would tell somebody something and then they would tell a friend and tell a friend and come back to me. And it's like, that's not what I said at all. Well, imagine that on a dev team, right? When you've got a couple hundred people and you've got this kind of branching management, by the time it gets down to the person that's doing it, it's like 3 degrees away from the desire of what it was. Who knows what's coming out? And so like the constant communication and oversight, and making sure that everybody understands and is on the same page, is a Herculean effort. People don't even really think about when they're thinking about game dev.
That's a really good answer. David, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm looking forward to everything you guys got coming in the future.
Thank you.